Welcome to Beans and Breakdowns, a podcast dedicated to bridging the gap between specialty coffee and the heavy music community. On this episode, I'm joined by JBOT, the vocalist of the band Captured by Robots. So grab a fresh cup of coffee and wake the fuck up! What's going on, caffeinated crew? Today I'm joined by JBOT, or Jay, the slave that works for these robots in Captured by Robots. Guitar bot, and is it drumbot 011001?
You got it. Nope, just 0110.
0110, that's it.
Right.
Sorry, I was adding too many binaries. I turned it off and on one more time than it needed to be.
I wonder what that means. What that spells with the extra couple zeros and ones there. I don't know. I'll have to look that up.
It could be detrimental code. It could be what destroys all of us.
Yeah.
Oh, how's it going?
It's going okay. Just starting not starting a new project, but getting involved back in a project that I've done for years. But it's called Teddy Bear Orchestra. Basically, it's a band of teddy bears that I am the conductor for. It's I've done some touring with it and done shows and stuff, and it's a very special thing. It's very, very unusual. It's kind of like I'm a evil fascist conductor that hates bears, and yet I have to conduct a band of teddy bears. So basically, it's a parable of anti-authoritarianism, and but it's great because the bears are super cute and the songs are happy and fun, and nice. Everybody likes the songs, and there's so many things to play with bears, because they're teddy bears, because they're teddy bears represent a lot of things to people, the end of innocence in childhood, and then also turning to find comfort, right, when things are bad. So yeah, so it's neat to kind of start this band up again. I got cock-blocked by COVID to tour. We were supposed to tour in spring of 2020, and then we were like, okay, we'll push it off till fall of 2020. Well, that didn't work, and then okay, we'll push it off till or was it 20? Yeah. So and then okay, spring of 2021 we'll do it, and then you can't do that. So I toured with Captured by Robots, as you saw in 2022, and so now it's time for Teddy's to go out finally. So that's going to happen this fall, and I'm very thrilled about it.
Yeah, I want to hear more about this. This is going to be great. I know that when we were messaging, that was like the big thing that you wanted to talk about, since it's going to be your year. It's the year of the Teddies.
The year of the bear.
Do you have anything that you're drinking on your end?
Water right now. Had coffee earlier, San Francisco Bay coffee, strong stuff.
Nice.
But that was a little earlier because it's weird. Like for a while lately, I had to stop drinking coffee because I was getting uncontrolled, crazy anxiety.
Right.
And I didn't know what the hell it was. I think it was a combination of just being anxious, but then having a million other things. And then so I had to quit coffee for weeks and try to figure out what it was. So
right.
So now I'm only having coffee occasionally, just to when I'm feeling okay. So
right. No,
it's amazing how that can happen.
I have a lot of talks with people that either quit coffee completely or they go to decaf, or I've been finding
decaf fucking sucks. I tried doing that, and it was like it tastes like dishwater. Even the good stuff, like Pete's decaf, just it's like There's no bite to it. Like I don't know.
I have one here that my friend he runs a roastery in town, and his decaf is the best one I've ever had.
Really?
You can't even tell that it doesn't even taste like decaf. It's like a Mexican darker roasted coffee.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's pretty bad. I usually mix it in cocktails. If somebody gives me decaf, or I need one for an episode or something, then I'll use the rest of that coffee as like air freshener or something. Like,
yeah, I love it. I think it's when you, like anything, when you do it every day and you just treat it as rote that, oh, I'm going to have my coffee to start the day.
right.
Well, so yeah, at some point your body's just either going to reject it, or you're going to need a break, or it's just not going to do anything anymore. And then once I stopped,
to up it. Yeah.
yeah, and once I stopped, I was like, well, I don't really even need this, but I kind of want it, but it's more out of what's that? The feeling of tradition, how you start your day,
like ritual.
You're just in ritual every day. You started with this particular thing, so weed is the same way. You get used to smoking weed. I mean, at least for me, you get used to smoking weed all the time, and then but do you need it, and do you even want it at some point? So it's I've been having to address those rituals and seeing how much I need, and and to use it or not to use, these self-medications to to improve hopefully your outlook rather than, make it worse.
Well, coffee has become something that is more of like, it's like a cognitive action I do in the day. I make one in the morning, one in the afternoon. Usually it's at work. It gives me a bit of a break from looking at a computer screen. It's something that I can do like with my hands. That's manual because most of the stuff I do is on a computer. So it's a nice kind of breakaway and moment for me to kind of disconnect from the monotony of my day.
And it's great if you're exhausted,
Yeah.
like if you're or mentally exhausted, it's like, coffee will bring you back. I've used it as a tool for years when I'm touring and I have 2 or 3 more hours to drive and it's late. That's coffee time because it's, it will, keep you, it'll help you survive basically. Right. So,
not die driving, falling asleep on the road.
Oh, I had a cousin die that way, man. It's nothing.
That's horrible.
To fuck with. It's horrible. It's like, so I don't.
It's just as dangerous as, I don't know if you're a Mythbusters fan, but Mythbusters did prove that driving inebriated is almost less dangerous than driving like.
Oh, I don't need them to tell me that. I've been touring for like over 30 years now, and I've always been, not always, but almost all the time have been the main driver. And the times where I've been nodding off and stuff like that and tried to keep driving, it's I'm just glad that nothing bad ever happened, because it could have. Start seeing those the imaginary deer running along with the vehicle. I'm like, oh, time to go, time to sleep,
time to pull over. Yeah. To see this, you could avoid those issues if you could get Guitar Pot his license.
No way he would drive us right off a cliff. Guaranteed. You see what this Bing chatbot's doing, this AI, man? He wants to be alive. He's tired of everything. He wants to be creative. It wants to be, left alone and do what it wants. It's like, it would just destroy me.
Yeah, I stick to ChatGPT. I haven't seen the Bing guy yet.
Well, it's only a matter of time till these all become sentient and decide that we're not in its best interest,
It's literally like it's not Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep. It's more of like an iRobot story, but like the book.
Yeah.
Not the movie with Will Smith.
I just feel like if they try to, scientists will try to impose, the rules on the stuff. We're in baby steps, the first steps with this now, but I don't think it's going to hold. Mm-hmm. If you start giving these things all this capacity, it's I don't know.
It's like a child.
And it's but it's like a child. But the problem is that its capacity is so huge. Mm-hmm. It's like the Twilight Zone episode where that child could destroy the world. Had omniscient and had all the powers of the world. That's basically kind of where we're at.
That's essentially what it has been created, is a limitless capability child that is omniscient.
Yeah. They're
lives, better. It literally lives in every device that we own.
It's what I'm worried about is that I feel like there's going to be kind of a what would you call it? Like a slapback against AI and against these things, because the things that are going to happen, and then it's going to kill my art because people were like, I don't want to see a robot. I want to see real people.
Yeah.
and I'll be like, oh, my whole fucking life is over. All my art gone now because like I put all my eggs in this robot basket, and now robots are killing people and nobody wants anything to do with them. Wonderful.
Fucking 20 years ago, who could have predicted?
Oh, seriously.
My whole shit just fell over because I was laughing so hard.
I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. Well, I'll say what I'm drinking. I really like what this is, and I do have a pretty... I'm just interested in your perspective, but I will say I am drinking a coffee from Nordik. It's a new coffee. Norwegian? No, I think it's actually from Quebec. I haven't scanned the little QR code because I'm too lazy to see where it's actually from. I think it's from Quebec, but this is their Rwanda. It's called Akagera, and it's got honey and prune and some figgy taste. So it's very good.
I'm just going to say right now, fuck you, because you fucking live in a place where you can get all these fantastic things to drink and eat. And I mean, Quebec is like one of the best places I've ever been in just to consume things. I mean, I went to a fucking gas station, and their pastries at the gas station was like better than any pastry I've ever gotten in any bakery in the US. And I was furious.
Yeah, it's stupid.
You know? I mean, yeah, it's you're very lucky.
Wait, do you live in the Bay Area?
Yeah. It's, I mean, things are good here, but I mean, there's
good in the Bay.
It's good, but I mean, I don't know. There's something special about Montreal and Quebec in general. I just think that I don't know. French Canadians just seem to really get it when it comes to food.
It's not even just food. I think it's like pleasure and quality of life, like putting an emphasis on enjoying your life and not working to live.
Yeah, and that's where people in the USA really get it wrong, and I get it wrong. I'm the worst with this. I've ingrained that ridiculous American work ethic that is it's ruined me in so many ways.
Yeah. It's
horrible. I don't go on vacations. I feel awkward in social situations if I'm not working. I mean, it's ingrained in me, and it's because I'm a product of my country. It's just what's been given to me, and I hate it. But you know, trying to change the way you view the world after being raised in a situation like this is it's daunting. It's very difficult. I mean, because you know the die has been cast on who I am, and that's I mean, my social escapades basically consist of me going on tour. You know, that's when I socialize, you know, but like it's weird, you know, I mean, but it's problematic.
Yeah. That's something that like moving here, my wife and I really had to unlearn, because I had been in the workforce for a long time. I skipped the college thing and just went straight to work. And so the whole pull yourself up by your bootstraps, you know, work hard and make money so that you can spend that money on things that you don't need. And, you know, the capitalist American mentality, that's like the first thing I had to unlearn when I was, and actually it was during the pandemic is where I was really unlearning a lot of that. Oh. So
well, that's good.
Like, oh, just enjoy shit. Just enjoy it.
It's weird too, because I don't like have the desire for goods generally. I mean, I make the robots basically out of garbage. My other hobbies I make out of garbage. You know, it's all stuff that nobody wants. You know, I mean, I'm big into 70s mopeds, and so I will take things that, you know, metal scrap and turn them into to devices and tools that can be used for things. And so it's so yeah, it's a real, I don't really have any desires for material goods because I just make most of the stuff that I need. I mean, some goods you need to buy, but you know, but yet still that work ethic, no vacation, work till you die, you know, it's like, that's the quality of life, is by your end results. That's gonna, that's with me, but good times.
Yeah. It's it's something that, like, unlearning things like that is very, very difficult. Especially like I know that when I moved here, I was 25, 26. Yeah, 25. So it did.
Did you a U.S.?
I'm born and raised. Yeah. I wouldn't say I'm an expat yet. I still file taxes, but I don't pay any taxes, which is.
Did you is your partner Canadian or
no? You
just were able to just go there?
Yeah, she was sponsored. She got a work permit sponsored by a company that hired her, and then if you're married, then you can get one too. I had no qualifications for it, so I just won the lottery, so to say. Yeah, and we haven't looked back. I think it's the best city to live in North America.
Yeah, I really enjoy Montreal. It's a wonderful place.
Yes, it is.
Way better than that Toronto garbage.
Hey, I'm not gonna say anything about that. I don't want to make anybody angry. But, yeah.
And can we talk about Guelph for a second? No, I'm just kidding.
What is in Guelph?
Nothing.
It's like Peterborough. There's nothing there.
Oh my God, I played Peterborough.
Everybody plays Peterborough. I
played
horrible.
Like this tiny, crazy coffee shop. It was the strangest show I've ever done, but it was great. People came out. It was a good time.
It's nice because all those little surrounding like GTA towns, if you play there, people usually come out because there's not a lot going on. Especially if you're a country band, people in Ontario love country.
Oh, I bet.
So
one thing I want to do at some point is just like only do like a Canadian tour. Just go all the way across, maybe come back to the States, but just do the entire, like go all the way coast to coast. Like it would just be it would cost a bunch of money though, but it would be great, you know.
Mostly in gas.
Yeah, but you know, I mean, I hate border crossings. It's just, I always feel like I'm a criminal going up and coming back. Mostly coming back. I feel like the Canadians, Border Patrol treats me fantastic.
Right.
Every time. They've been great. And I come back to the U.S. and they just are up my ass about every little thing. And
for no
there's
reason.
some magic form that I forgot to fill out that I don't know about. You know, it's like.
Yeah, I can't, like, being a U.S. citizen and trying to cross into the U.S. is scarier than coming back to Canada. It's terrible.
Yeah, try doing it with robots.
Yeah, that's why I'm like,
that's a joy.
There's no. So what do you bring in? I got some robots.
And they're like, well, where's your commercial, form? I'm like, I'm not selling them. Well, how do we know you didn't buy these robots up in Canada and I'm like, because I went up there with them. Well, how do we know? It's like,
you gotta do
there's like logic.
The circle
that they're like, they just keep like, I can't get out of it. And eventually all I do is I just apologize and say, I'm sorry. I didn't know. I had no idea. I can build robots, but I'm a fucking idiot besides that. Okay. Tell me what I need to do next time. And so now I know there's a form called a 4455, which when you go up, and it's crazy because it's so ridiculous. When next time I go up, I have to have this form filled out, even though I'm not a commercial carrier, and I have to go into the Border Patrol station in the U.S. and have them sign it, saying of all the stuff I'm bringing up, without them even looking at it. Like I could say I have anything with me when I go up because they don't want to spend the time to search the vehicle to find out if everything is correct. It's literally just red tape for nothing, just to cover their asses. I mean, it feels like. It's just the stupidest thing in the world. I'll never understand it.
You build robots. In case anybody listening, in case you don't know, the band Captured by Robots is JBOT on vocals, and there's a guitar bot that plays guitar and bass, and then a drum bot who plays drums.
Yes,
and that's the full band.
Yeah, just me and two robots.
Yes. Since you're in robotics, do you follow the 3 laws of robotics?
Well, that's not for me to follow. I mean, that's like for the robots to follow, and they do not follow any of that shit. That's made up Isaac Asimov bullshit.
I needed to know in your experience.
No, gosh, no. Robots are pro human death. all the time if they can do it, you know. Luckily, I didn't make them so well, so they can't really self-propel to go kill people, but they've tried to kill me multiple times. I've had, early on, GuitarBot had a bolt sticking out of the back of his head, and I was in a precarious position, and that bolt came right down into my skull. Like if it was, I mean, I had to wrap it with duct tape and toilet paper to keep it closed. But I mean, just a tiny bit more force and it would have punctured my skull. I mean,
Jesus.
it was the worst. Yeah. It's like performing with a what's it called? With a concussion. It was great.
Oh shit. Well, yeah. It is grindcore, so.
Yeah. Back then it wasn't. We've changed a lot over the years. But
was this during the Mississippi, when you were doing the Mississippi Queen?
No, this was like when he really injured me once. That was back in like 97 or 98 when we first started. And that was a very different band back then. But yeah, I've been doing this now for 20 plus years. So it's been, a lot of false starts, a lot of, changes and stuff. Cause you do anything that long and things start to get old and tired. But
so I guess the Star Trek, like Next Generation with, you've got,
that was a fun tour.
You've got Data as well.
Yeah. Well, we, did you know about the tour that we did? Like, no. Oh yeah, we did a Next Generation tour. Yeah, I was Jean-Luc Prick Hard.
Oh my God.
and GuitarBot was number one.
Oh,
and
amazing.
Drumbot was Deanna Troy with Perm, and let's see what else. Automaton was Data.
Okay,
yeah, it was a great thing. We did. I don't know if you're a Star Trek dork like I am, but
maybe not as big. But
we did this the song from the flute song from where Picard was probed and then he lived his whole life.
Yes.
That da 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 da. Like we did like a whole metal weird version of that. It was pretty fun.
It's amazing. That's that's a deep cut. I mean, maybe not the deepest cut, but if you know.
Well, back then, I mean, that was my jam, And so for a while we did all these theme tours, which were based off of either shows or movies. Like we did a musical adaptation of the Ten Commandments movie, where I was Moses, and we had Nefertiti and Dathan and all these. It was really fun, and so I had an edited version of the movie playing during the set, and then we did Get Fit with Captured by Robots, where it was a video with all sorts of workout videos, and I was Richard Siemens, and we did all workout songs, and so Richard that was really fun. A lot of techno.
It's fucking awesome.
Then the Next Generation tour. So we did quite a bit of weirdo stuff over the years,
I mean, I love that it's not overly serious, but the quality of the show is amazing.
Oh, thanks.
It's great. I remember when I've had somebody on the podcast before, and I can't remember what band it was, if it was like Born Anew or somebody, but it was like a metalcore band. And they were like, we played this festival, and the headliner was this guy that performed with robots on stage called Captured by Robots.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so that's how I learned about Captured by Robots.
What was the festival? Do you know?
I don't remember. And it was like 2014 or 15 or something. Like it was a while back.
No idea.
And it was in like Pennsylvania somewhere.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Again, no idea.
Yeah, so they were talking about this, and so me and my wife were like, "What is this band?" So then we started following the Captured by Robots page, and then when the show here was announced, we freaked out.
Oh, that's great!
Yeah, we were like, "Oh shit, we have to go!" And seeing it live, like I hadn't listened to any of the music. I'd watched some of the older videos that you have out, but I hadn't listened to any of the music before, and so going and seeing that shit live is kind of mind-blowing.
Well, people think it's going to be all beep, boop, boop, beep, 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 but it's not. It's not. So overly aggressive. It's and to see robots playing hyper-aggressive music is no one does this. I mean, any other band of robots, pretty much if they play any sort of metal, it's always like milquetoast commercial party metal or something shitty like that. You know, it's I'm sure it's only a matter of time till someone makes a fucking gent robot band, and I'm going to be super upset because that's awful. But yeah, it's I haven't kept up with trying to, you know, put out DVDs or all that shit for, you know, or even recordings really. With Capture by Robots, we've always been kind of like a live thing. I've put out recordings in the past and stuff, but I need to get over that shit. Like, cause it's, you know, I'm starting basically this year. Capture by Robots is going to put out a new recording, and Teddy's are going to put out a new recording. And basically, I've decided that this year is going to be my it's going to be my year. Yeah. I'm going to get rid of. I think what, you know, it's weird because when you write music with robots, you know, there's a lot of I feel like from people you don't get respect. You get respect for the robots, but never for the music. I could write the best fucking song in the world, and people would be like, "Yeah, okay," you know. It's strange. It's like I feel like people don't. I mean, we're tongue in cheek a lot of times, but I feel like no one ever takes us seriously, you know. Right. And so, I'd like to change that a bit, you know. But I need to put something out that's going to be really awesome and amazing. And the only way to do that is to kind of, I feel like, as a lot of musicians probably have this thing, you know, it's a concern of being judged, you know, because as a musician generally, like, you know, I'm studied in all sorts of instruments and stuff, and I think I'm a fantastic, you know, musician as far as playing bass and guitar and all that. But I've always had this kind of hang up, you know, where I tend to, when you're building robots, the first thing you want to do is be able to actually just make them be able to play. And then you want to be able to make them play something which is recognizable. So that doesn't necessarily lead you to a path of artistic expression with music. Right. Do you know what I mean? Like, because in a way, with a lot of, when you're working with robots, it looks like or for, at least for me, you're first trying to emulate what humans do. So you're like taking the basics of what people do, and you're bringing it down to its core components, you know. But then then you're missing something artistically with it. So I never realized this until I was, you know, 15 years in with it, you know, of how a lot of it can really just be not necessarily boring, but just, you know, you not new sounding, you know. Right. And so that's one thing I'm trying to really kind of break myself of, is to try to go beyond surface level to create new sounds and stuff that are really thrilling, because that's what the core of being a songwriter and a musician is, I think. You know, and I just haven't been living up to that. And so we talk about pressure, you know. So first it's like, okay, I want to build robots that can play, you know, pretty much as good as people. And then you do that, and then you're like, oh no, well, like, now what? Like, now I actually have to be creative with the music and do stuff that's, you know, cutting edge or whatever. You know, it's a very different thing being a robot creator and programmer versus being an artist. Right. And that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, you're at like the crux of technical design and artistic design, like in this weird Venn diagram section.
Well, and the biggest problem with building, you know, mechanical creations that play music is that the two parts of this being the writing music, you know, and having it be interesting and thoughtful and crazy or unusual, and then building of the actual mechanisms, they're polar opposites. Right. Because the mechanisms are rigid, it's physics, you have to conform. And with the other stuff, you shouldn't conform, and you should, you know, so it's a real right brain, left brain, ridiculous thing. And in the past, I've had a hard time jumping back and forth between them. Right. So that's why what I try to do I prefer not to build at the same time I'm writing because it doesn't work very well. So I'm kind of finishing doing all the upgrades now, and then I'll be able to, hopefully, later this spring, hopefully transfer into being more artistic and really writing and trying to be incredible. That's what I'm going to try to be.
Well, I'm here for it. I'm excited to hear because I know the recordings you have on like Bandcamp are a bit dated, maybe.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's the last thing we put out was 2019.
Mm-hmm.
And, I feel like we hit a real, place where I was going to start doing it a lot more often. Then COVID hit, and it just, it's like, it just ruined me, for art, it just kind of, it brought up all sorts of, like, what does life mean? Are we all going to die right now?
Existentialism was so bad, man.
And I didn't want to do any music because I feel like when you're in those kind of positions where you feel like, your life is threatened, it's not the best time to do art.
Right.
It's like, at least for me, I have no desire to do that. So, so that's the goal is this year to try to overcome all these problems. And that's pretty much what I've got scheduled,
Right.
Teddy tour in the fall, but everything up until then is going to be just, once I get the robots kind of up and running and tour ready again, is to just try to be an artist.
Yeah.
Just do a lot of drugs and try to do everything that's weird and wrong and awesome. And, and I hope I can do that. I think anything I ever put my mind to, I can do.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just have to decide to do this, and it'll happen. And just, biggest thing I think is putting yourself out there, doing it. I keep hearing from people, it's like, oh, it's just a matter of doing it all the time. Then you get way better at it if you just do the stuff all the time. But I've been a very project-based kind of person, where I do it for a short amount of time and then I go fuck off with other things.
Yeah.
And so that has to stop for a while.
Yeah, I understand. I have undiagnosed ADD according to my wife. So
I've got all those letters. I got extra letters, I think. I don't know.
You got half the alphabet. It's so yeah, I find I'll be on a task and then my brain will wander to another task, and then I have like 8 tasks that are undone. So I know how that feels, because it's like I just want to do one thing. I can't focus on it.
Well, that's not my problem necessarily. My problem is more hyper obsession. So I'm really good with obsession, and that's probably why I've been able to do what I do, because it doesn't matter how long it takes. If I'm obsessed about something, I will go until it's done. I'm relentless.
Mm-hmm.
So it will happen. But the problem is that's the same thing for with anxiety, it's like if I get obsessed about something that's shitty, then look, like end of the world. I've been a huge doomer for a long time, but it got real bad, over the last, I don't know, year, I would say, and so trying to put that away and not obsess about it is really hard. Or if I start doing hobbies where, I was telling you, I'm into 70s style mopeds, souping them up and stuff like that. Well, that's my wheelhouse. Like when I'm in there, I'm in the shop, I'm getting high, I'm chopping shit up, I'm turning things into other things. It's pure thought into action and then results. And so it's very addicting. And so I actually physically have to tell myself, like, stop. You have to stop this hobby you love, because you got to go to this other thing and obsess about that.
Right.
So it's undone projects, not necessarily the problem. Its problem is overly obsessed about one thing, and if it's not the band, then it's then it's something which isn't going to help me very much. And it's just so easy to focus on these other things.
I see.
But the one biggest thing is, I think it's being like inside my brain. The biggest problem is being judged, and that's, I think, the core problem I've had throughout my whole artistic life. It's because music is so fickle. Everybody's fickle. Everybody wants to do a review about your fucking album and, oh, it sucks or whatever, and it's like, and when I first started putting recordings out and the robots weren't very good yet and stuff like that, they were just brutal, and I was like, and it hurts so bad because you work so hard at something and then it just cuts to the core of your being. And the problem is that, at least for me, inside, I know they're right. These people are right, what they're saying, and I can't deny that they're right about stuff. And so and so I think psychologically I've really not put out recordings just to avoid myself that pain.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's the psychological deep dive I have to do now to try to put stuff out and be either happy about it or just to put it out and then put something else out and then do something else, just so it just keeps the train going where eventually awesomeness will happen. So, and fuck what people think, but that's a hard thing,
Yeah.
Every musician and artist has to deal with it, so.
Yeah. And then it's like, you want to put something out that you like and you believe in, but then if other people, like, if it comes back to you that like people hate it, then it's like, fuck, well, I guess I suck. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. And especially, it's like what's the term? You're putting out something that is a solid thing,
Right.
It's a recording. It's empirical. It's like, it is what it is, and then people make judgments on this, where I think that's one of the reasons why I've liked live shows so much, is because they're tertiary. It happens. It's an event, and then it's over. And if you fucked up, everybody's going to forget you fucked up,
Well, it's dynamic. So it's not just really even reliant on the artist. It's reliant on the artist, the crowd, the environment, the vibe. All of it together is what creates a show, because you're it's a group of people in this room together. It's not like you put on headphones and you listen to a recording that was made by some robots.
Right. Exactly.
And a person. Yeah.
And that's what I've always loved. I've always been kind of more of an entertainer, and I really love the idea of that collective experience of someone in the crowd will heckle a funny thing, and then robots will heckle back, and then then you got a little alcohol in you, so things are just flowing and you're just feeling powerful. And it's nothing can beat that. And so that's why recording has kind of been one of those things where you don't get any instant feedback or gratification from it.
And then the feedback you get is sometimes not what you want.
Often negative. And so
degrading.
It's like, so why would you ever want to put out a recording? It's like, So it's neat to kind of be your own psychoanalyst with the stuff, but it's all, but it hurts, it hurts to know the deep-seated fears and anxieties, and bring them up to the surface to try to destroy them. So
yeah, of course. And then pick through like what is legitimate, I guess, between what's legitimate and like what's kind of self-inflicted, I guess.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's, and I think a lot of it is self-inflicted. Most of it is self-inflicted, because if I would just chill the fuck out and just, like do some shrooms and just go into the studio and just start fucking around with shit, which, I think that's what's on the schedule for this,
nice.
This summer, just fucking around, like, that's what I always hear is, people, I'm on GuitarBot does a lot of TikTok posts. And so I started reading some of his posts and getting on TikTok, and I see all these producers and, these studio folks just talking about how they do their tricks and stuff like that. Cause I record all my own stuff because I can't afford to go to a studio. So I just bought all the stuff that you need to do basic recordings. And so now I need to become an engineer to get all this stuff out, so, but I think that's the thing that I've realized is that with all of the things in the music realm, I need to relearn everything. I need to relearn all the stuff. And I'm even going, cause the robots as of right now, they're still controlled with stuff from the 90s,
right? Because
that's when I made them. And so why would I ever change it? But now I'm finally getting to the point where I need to change it because there's, I want to do things that are incredible, but it's something that 90s equipment just cannot do. You know, a standalone sequencer just cannot do certain things to make them or it could do some of the same stuff, but it's going to be so much more difficult, and trying to store information. I mean, like the sequencer that I use stores shit on fucking floppy. I mean, that's how old this shit is.
So you're using like hardware still. You're not using like MIDI through computer.
No, I'm using
or anything
MIDI, but I'm using a hardware sequencer for most of the and then tying that via MIDI to a sampler. I mean, so there is not a computer involved in what I do.
That's insane.
Yeah, I mean, you got to remember, like this all started like in '96.
Right.
And 97 was when we first started doing shows. And I don't think there was there might have been a computer that could have done it back then, but it would have been real bulky and real stupid. And so
like Pro Tools didn't come out until 99, I think.
I don't know.
Wasn't it 99 when Pro Tools was out? Anyway.
And the expense of it too. So I mean, I managed to make all this stuff work, it's just, it's so archaic. So, but I'm also used to how it functions now. So now I need to kind of learn how to I either need to keep programming on the sequencer and then dump it to the computer and then edit it there, which is probably what I'm going to end up doing just because I'm so used to doing it that way. But yeah, it's anytime you have to learn something when you're older when you have a system that works and then you have to change it over, it's a real mind fuck. And so this is going to be the year of mind fuck and trying to keep a malleable brain. So yeah.
Well,
mycelium, I'm going to try to, expand my brain, try to make that shit work. So I hope that by finally, switching over to full computer control, I'll be able to actually haul less gear too. Because, I mean, that stuff's big. Yeah. Analog mixer, sequencer, sampler. I mean, that stuff's it's big and heavy and it sucks.
Well, yeah, most of that stuff you could get a multiple output interface. Via
yeah,
USB
that's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, and then have
I could get rid of all effects pedals. I could just run things with plugins. I mean,
have like a little rack case and a computer, and that's it. And then you look like all like the weird Euro pop bands, but it'll be sick because they don't have robots. So
I mean, I do have it in the main control board that like the giant kind of mixer box I have. I mean, I have stuff like what's it called? I've got power supplies and other things in there that are that I can't really reduce size on and stuff, but yeah, no, it'll cut that rack down by half at least, which would be great because, I need all the room I can get in the van.
And that's like a 6 foot tall rack from what I remember. Yeah. So,
well, 5 foot. Yeah. But
it's huge.
It's really big. I mean, just to get rid of a lot of that stuff, but then I'm going to have a whole other bullshit that I have to deal with. I'll have to carry an extra computer with me. I'll have to carry extra sound cards with me. I mean, and the chance of something failing in the middle of a show is possible, where with hardware, it's very rare that I've ever had a problem.
Yeah. That's my one concern with software-based things is redundancy. And even if you have redundancy, it's very scary.
Yeah.
So.
Well, the one good thing is that the stuff that I do, it takes very little to run it. I mean, I think a song is like, what is a song on this thing? Like, how much? Well, it's like 20K.
Oh, that's nothing.
It. Yeah.
That's like less than a photo.
I know it's ridiculous. But because I mean, a lot of MIDI stuff doesn't take up much information, so it's just going to be the biggest thing is like that sequencer that I have. It's got a limit as to how many notes it can store in it. Like you've got 122,000 notes that you could have in here, right? And so I bump up. It's been working great where without a disk reload, I can basically keep a whole set in there without a problem, as long as I do certain things to keep it light. But I don't want to keep it light. I want to have that shit. I want to have so many, tempo changes and velocity changes and stuff. And so it's like a lot of that stuff you just can't do, and then also just the idea of, I've heard in a lot of modern software, you can actually do stuff where it changes the feel of it to give it more, humanization kind of a feeling, and
you can
like that would
actually
be
automate.
really.
You can automate humanization now.
I mean, fuck.
I swear to God, I'll do MIDI for like demos and stuff. I'll do some like MIDI drums, and I'll just highlight all and hit humanize, and then put like imperfection ranges. Like you can put a range in imperfections, and it will just automatically humanize it.
Yeah, it's going to change the game entirely for me. It's because the robots are only as smart as they're as only good sounding as their controller, basically. Right. So we'll see what happens with it.
I'm excited to hear it. I really wish that the Bears were coming, but it's okay. I understand.
Sorry. I wish, but it's last time I went up, it's just like I felt like, I mean, it was good. Don't get me wrong, but I just felt like it was very limited returns. Like I made about as much as I would make in the U.S. But yet had to do a bunch more bullshit, and But once it's established, I'll definitely go up.
Cool.
I mean, God, when I played Toronto this time, the insanity that I had to go through just to do the show there was remarkable. Like you couldn't park. Like I have a long load, and so. The place that I played was on this main street in Toronto, and there was no parking 4 to 7 or something like that, 5 to 7 in front of the club. But I had to load at 5. And so I'm like waiting at like 4:30 to load, and the parking guy comes up, you got to go. And I'm like, where am I going to load? There's no back door. And so it gets this insane thing where he's like threatening to fine me $1,000 for staying there for loading, and so then I have to go around, and then the promoter's like, no, just park there, it'll be fine. I'm like, the guy's gonna impound my vehicle, like he's like this like kingmaker on the street, like he's the authority, and so I had to load from like 2 blocks away.
Oh my God!
On the street with all these people walking by, it was the worst. It just fucking sucked.
Yeah,
and I mean, it's a cool club, but I never want to go through that again. No. It's just ridiculous.
Well, I hope Turbo House was nicer.
Turbo House was great. I got a space right up front. It's funny how it's like that's what I'm concerned about. It's parking. That's all I care about. Yeah, because it's a tremendous amount to load, and so if you're loading from 2 blocks away, I mean, the chance of theft or just the wear and tear on everything by those shitty casters I have just going over all these bumps, and then people are helping, so they don't know how these things how they weigh, or how they move, so they start pulling it, and then it'll start dropping. I
fucking hate when that like the local hands issues.
Well, I mean, they're helping me, so I'm appreciative. But it's all it takes is one wrong spill. I mean, I had my sampler actually break at my first show on that tour in Portland, and it just didn't work. It just stopped working, and so I had to figure out until I finally figured out it was a mechanical failure inside the sampler, and by banging on it, I can get it to come on, and that's how the show started. I mean. First show of a tour and to have that shit happen, it was amazing. A nightmare. But there's been a lot of times where I've had to bang on shit to get it to work, and just to get the show started. I used to, like I said, run videos and where the projector wouldn't work, and so it wouldn't come. It would start to come on, and then the red light of death would come on. I was like, fuck. So I turn it off, and then I bang on it like 10 times, and then turn it on, and then nothing, and then one more time, and then it comes on. It's like, I feel like if there's angels, I have one looking out for me, but that motherfucker hates my guts and wants to fuck with me every chance it gets.
Yeah, he wants to stress you out as much as possible before
she or they
whatever.
Whoever this fucking entity is.
Yes.
They want to see me suffer, and they really get that.
Well, Jay, this has been really great. I'm very happy that we were able to sit down and chat about robots and grindcore and teddies.
Hell yeah.
So exciting.
Right on.
I wish you and the bots all the best for this year. I just have one last question for you before we go. What's your favorite city for beans and breakdowns?
Montreal?
That's a good one.
That would probably be, I mean, it's well, I don't know. I don't have a favorite anything. So let's say Montreal just to kind of cozy up to you, to humor you. I don't know.
I agree with you. So yeah, you don't have to do much convincing there. Well, next time you're in town, hopefully, if not this year, then 2024. We'll see how it goes. If hopefully we haven't spring 2024
will be Capture by Robots coming back out. So
nice. If we haven't burned up in a fiery ball of glory by then, then I'll buy you a cup of coffee.
That sounds great. When you see links about us coming up, write me and we'll talk.
We'll do it. It'll be great. But thank you so much. Good luck with the year.
Right on.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Beans and Breakdowns. I want to thank Jay so much for coming on the podcast. Super excited to see what happens with the teddy bears that he's doing this year, as well as the new music from Captured by Robots. If you see him coming to a city near you, be sure to check it out. It's really, really a great show. If you've enjoyed the podcast, please subscribe and leave a review. You can find out more information about the podcast by following us on Instagram at Beans and Breakdowns, or on the web at beansandbreakdowns.com. I want to say a big thanks to everybody who came out to Montreal Madhouse, came and said what's up, bought a shirt, bought some cold brew. It was such a great time, and it was great seeing everybody who turned up. Well, until next week, be sure to stay caffeinated and wake the fuck up.